Hi, everyone. My name is Darren Meister. I am the director of the Thompson Center for Engineering Leadership and Innovation at Western Engineering, and I am a faculty member in entrepreneurship at the Ivy Business School, as well as being a faculty member at Western Engineering. Really glad that you've been able to join us this afternoon to learn a little bit more how we integrate business and engineering programs here at Western. And after my presentation, there will be a live Q&A with myself. Following that, a taped panel with 4 of our dual degree students and some of the very typical questions that often get asked of students during our on-campus sessions. So I hope you enjoy it. Hopefully we'll take you through this in about 10 minutes, and away we go. The combination between business and engineering just in the field is not an unusual one. I certainly have several of my contemporaries who ended up combining it. And the way that we usually saw it combined was by combining an engineering undergraduate degree with an MBA degree that people would take 2, 3, 4, 5 years after they graduated. And the reason for that was that the idea of combining the leadership and innovation skills has always been something that has been seen as extremely valuable. What we do now, though, with the dual degree program is we bring those together. They happen over 5 years. And I have to say that what you end up with is a person with a slightly different mindset than combining the engineering degree, work experience, and then MBA. What I find is the people who did it, well, referred to often as the classic way, is they sort of talk about their business brain and their engineering brain. And what I find about people who talk about it and have done it as a dual program, in other words, 5 years together contiguously, is they talk more about their problem solving brain, that they have these different toolkits. So it's not 2 different things, it's 2 things together. So I do believe there's an added value in bringing these to bear at the same time, because you learn really, really well how they fit together, not make them work together. So the foundation for business and engineering at Western is a very strong statement that we make. In the first year of the program, across the country, most people at some point in time in the program take some form of business education. At Western, we put that up front, and you take Business 1299, which is a case-based course taught by the Ivy Business School, available to all of our engineering students, and not only available, but indeed required of all of our engineering students that they take that course. For some students, that's the last time they end up taking a business course. They just use that knowledge and they have that available throughout their engineering program. We have seen a very sizable increase in entrepreneurship activities of our undergraduates, and we believe part of that is because of the fact that business is just part of our toolkit as engineering. It's not a thing on the side, it's part of it. For some other students, they don't want to do an additional year. They spend their time in 4 years in the university. They can take a certificate in engineering leadership and innovation. There are 4 courses that they would take. They complete the degree in 4 years, and there's no additional tuition. Just to put that out there for some of you, it's one that less people know about. Here's a few of our graduates. I look at the bottom left-hand corner, Gamaliel, who is a product owner at Scotiabank, responsible for web banking applications. Kat McAllister, who is involved with launching and bringing into operations sophisticated public water systems. And person I'll just highlight for a second is Kevin Goldberg, who, when he was going through the program, developed this bit more of an entrepreneurial mindset. After graduation, he went into a fairly traditional civil engineering job and started to look and say, hey, that's a little untraditional, that's a little bit unusual. 2 years after he graduated, he was off and had the opportunity to running his own company. The company he was working for helped him establish it as a spinoff. So the certificate program has a wonderful set of success for people who go that way. However, the third way that some people decide to combine with business engineering is by doing a dual degree with the Ivy HBA program. I'm not going to talk to you a lot about the Ivy HBA program at this point in time. I can take some of those questions in the chat. But it is what we have is a dual degree program that takes 5 years. If you do the 2 degrees separately, there's 6. Question that comes up sometimes is, so well, how do you combine the 2 together? Part of it is your electives in one field are effectively courses that you're taking in the other fields. So your electives are kind of in each other's area. You don't lose any core technical or business or engineering content. So when I look at how they work through and take you through your 5-year journey that you would have here at Western, the first year, there's a common first-year engineering program to everybody at the university in engineering. In second year, you would move into a specialized program. So for example, that might be when you take mechatronics, you take software, you take integrated engineering. That's when you start that core specialized engineering program. During your second year, if you're interested in this dual, you apply to Ivy. Some students have what we call AEO status, Advanced Entry Opportunity Status. And if they're continuing to maintain a 78% average, they're guaranteed a spot at Ivy. Other students never really thought about this until they came to Western. And for them, when they start this program is when they start to look into those options, and they can also apply at that point in time. Usually it requires a little bit higher than a 78 average. So my advice always is apply for AEO if you're all interested in this. You don't have to, there's no contractual rule that you have to go and take Ivy. I know people who after a year or two in engineering say, hey, I think I really want to focus on the technical aspects. I'm going to do the certificate and I'm not going to go to the dual degree. Nothing wrong, no pressure. Beautiful thing is that's your choice. But for students in the dual degree in third year, and the reason I've made it green is to sort of show you've become a student at Ivy full-time for that year. So 2 years full-time in engineering, 1 year full-time at Ivy. I mentioned AEO, it's about 2/3 of the class are advanced entry opportunity. That admission is based not only on grades, but also on leadership potential. Then after that dedicated year at Ivy, for those of you who've not had an opportunity to visit our campus here in the past at all, the Ivy building and the engineering buildings are actually right across the road from each other, which becomes really useful in fourth year when you're starting to take courses in both faculties and at times are moving back and forth between them. Fourth year, you're primarily engineering. Fifth year is a combination between the two. There are setup programs. There's lots of logistics questions that everybody has. Sometimes it becomes a little overwhelming for me to answer. And what I can say to you is we've had a lot of students. This is a very well-established program. It's over 20 years old now. And we have about 250 students at one point in time at some stage of the dual degree program. One of the things that I think is a real differentiator for us is that you can do this with every engineering program and you combine, because Ivy doesn't have majors, you can create your own custom business path. So to reiterate, it's 5 years, it's 2 full degrees, and you have the range of career options as if you were just an Ivy grad or if you were just an engineering degree grad. It is the combination of both worlds, and I think that's where the real power comes in. I want to mention the Linamar Scholarships for women in engineering and business. Tuition certainly is a factor for some people as they work their way through this process. There's quite a bit of financial aid available at Western and at Ivy for students, but we understand that this is something that you want to keep an eye on. And one of the things that has become made available for women in engineering and business is that the Linamar Corporation, headed by Linda Hasselfratz, is committed to paying in third, fourth, and fifth year. So HBA 1 and the 2 come for 10 women each year are able to do the dual degree program, and half of their tuition is paid for. They're guaranteed a summer co-op, but they don't have to take it. And they're guaranteed full-time employment at Linamar. And again, they don't have to take it. It's their choice. Really, really fitting our philosophy of you customize your path to your own future. Often I get asked, what do people do? So I want to tell you, just to introduce you to Michelle Lowe. Michelle happened to be in my class this week, visiting and doing a guest speaking virtually. On the right-hand side are 2 cars that she's worked on and is working on. One is with Tesla. She's a design quality engineer at Tesla, and now she's a design quality engineer at Faraday Future, which is developing a luxury, I'll call it SUV. It's a very interesting product category. It's called the FF91 vehicle, for those of you interested. But Michelle combines her engineering and her business backgrounds by by addressing questions like, well, if we make this work that technically works, how does that represent our brand? What does that make it understand? Very much working at that interface between business and engineering. She also gets into very technical discussions with people who have been in the industry much longer. And as you will see, she's relatively young in her career. She's told me before how well her time at Ivy has prepared her for those sort of discussions and how to navigate the internal communications and discussions that happen at high-end engineering organizations. There's a couple more pictures that I want to paint for you. In the bottom on the left-hand side is Brian Coulter. Brian was a Rhodes Scholar, went to Oxford, ended up doing his PhD, works in the pension industry. I'll mention one of the other names on there, Joel, who was also a Rhodes Scholar, is now working in ag tech. We've had people who go into retail, people who go into solar energy, people who go into management consulting. What is wonderful to me is the range of opportunities that this dual degree program gives you. I strongly encourage you to think about it. And thank you very much for your time and attention listening to me so far. Thank you.